Gaeilge Jay as Gael Nerach.
As masort as in gold tire share Claare na Gael, as bevail am shuish altacha. I'm Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
And it's my pleasure to present Claare na Gael, a bilingual programme with a thread in the English language as leis na Éilín sa Ghaeilge, and with another thread as well in the Manx Gaelic, Chinne na Mera, the mother tongue of Alan Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Banach and Jurish. Now David Robertson has mentioned a woe-worn hermit, squalid in his attire, uncouth in his person, and wounded in his mind. And this figure was living a penitential life on the Calf because of the murder of a young woman in Elizabethan times. Manx poet Esther Nelson wrote a poem about this, and we'll find out about Esther Nelson, and also we'll have a look at that poem of hers. To Quincey Morris a chorfúil de Howell Lucy Westenra, as de braiach Jenner Lee John Seward, fel ei cart on Shilton, draw an unred gent Hannah, eg John Seward, eg an Olive van Helsing, as eg Arthur Homewood. Ten fairly Seward vierige de vel shen morte. We start with a song about the love of a country, in this case Braise, Brittany, as NOLWENN LEROY sings Karantez Ro.
Ik kon verhalen zo glezen, bouw je bij je wonkie se dugan, raken ze was on nie garen, de gare ke bezagaran, on na gare ni meta her you, armo you don na boy you per, on ni gare ni meta mes you can care va braisizer. Red voe di batre di u Karantez, Karantez bro, Karantez den, Dambro ames quislet va buer, alles davon mia garen, disqua sa bawe ne man se velet, disqua sklevet ke lutan, a gleisen em halom zu chomet, a gare ke
it was Breton poet Angela Duval, 1905 to 1981, who wrote about her Karantez, love of the country of Brittany, and her words were set to music by Breton band Gael, and that was a version of Angela Duval's piece set to that music, sung by NOLWENN LEROY. Now, Esther Nelson was born in 1810, and at that time her father, the Reverend John Nelson, was vicar of Kirkpatrick of Derby, where she was duly baptised. In 1818, the Reverend Nelson moved to Kirksanton, and then in 1830 back to the north again to be vicar of Kirkbride. What little is known of his daughter Esther is that she was living in Douglas for a time in 1838, but she came back to the family home, which of course at that time was in the rectory in Kirkbride, in the following year. And it was in that year, in 1839, that she published her collection of poetry, which was called Island Minstrelsy. However, the reason for her moving back into the family home was probably not to concentrate on publishing her book, but because she simply wasn't in good health. In 1841 she went to Paris, apparently for reasons to do with her health, but she subsequently died of tuberculosis in Kirkbride on the 21st of March, 1843. She was 33 years of age. Now, Esther Nelson is known for her poem The Carstoo Men, set in Derby, but we'll be looking at The Island Penitent, a legend of the calf, so a long way south from there. As house the shore ve Claare, fry Quincey Morris Jane Early Seward. Was Jai Lane? Jai Lane? Esh, da mi Shilton Jack Seward. De vel le creatuur bach eilen dus te graai ein oliori, en ngedden kurits Jack ons na kushlienek, joustai jane tre shen, a fool, jay kier Daniel Ledger, wun je ween, ga dodde kledden korpek kummeli. Esh, is eich het vagestau, lore ons lie hanisch elgesach, krei gauw machi. Graai mi machjan. Shen, Dortny, vis Kreen a kush. De van Helsing the Jaro Burish the Moor Machilnek, as Tamishek Bear Machalia, Canodum eer Gael ons Lau Korcheber. Te strain de Hagert en Begge a Choren Drach Ullion a Smullianine bent in de Aramai Gul Fraile Lucy. Gejigged Shorish. Unshaw, je much Tanachten, der a vis de Chullurid the Mai. Another sigh. Hien Quincey Mach a Lau. Cor Barent Orms, yes, Dorte. Now, I mentioned Kirkpatrick of Derby. St. Patrick's Day has just been celebrated, and here's another song about love of land, in this case an Irish emigrant to New York, and he returns to dear old Donegal to marry and settle down there, and, of course, meet the family, as we hear. This is a recording made by JOSEF LOCKE in 1948.
It seems like only yesterday I sailed from out of Cork, a wanderer from our Darren's Isle. I landed in New York. There wasn't a soul to greet me there, a stranger on your shore, but the Irish luck was with me here, and riches came galore. And now that I'm going back again to dear old Darren's Isle, my friends will meet me on the pier and greet me with a smile. Their faces sure I've almost forgot, I've been so long away, but me mother will introduce them all, and this to me will say, shake hands with your uncle Mike, me boy, and here's your sister Kate, and sure there's the girl you used to swing down by the garden gate. Shake hands with all your neighbours and kiss the colleens all. You're as welcome as the flowers and may to dear old Donegal. They'll line the roads for miles and miles, they'll come from near and far, and they'll give a party when I go home, an Irish chant and cars. The spirits will flow and we'll be gay, we'll fill your hearts with joy, and the piper will play an Irish reel to greet the Yankee boy. We'll dance and sing the whole night long, such fun as never was seen. The lads will be decked in corduroy, the colleens wearing green. There'll be thousands there that I never saw, have been so long away. But me mother will introduce them all, and this to me will say, shake hands with your uncle Mike, me boy, and here's your sister Kate. And sure there's the girl you used to swing down by the garden gate. Shake hands with all your neighbours and kiss the colleens all. You're as welcome as the flowers and made for dear old Donegal. Meet Brannigan, Fannigan, Milligan, Gilligan, Duffy, McCuffy, McCaffy, Mahone, Rafferty, Lafferty, Donnelly, Connolly, Dooley, O'Hooley, Muldooney, Malone, Madigan, Cadigan, Lanahan, Flanahan, Fagan, O'Hagan, O'Houlihan, Flynn, Shanahan, Manahan, Fogarty, Hogarty, Kelly, O'Kelly, McGuinness, McGinn. Shake hands with your uncle Mike, me boy, and here's your sister Kate. And sure there's the girl you used to swing down by the garden gate. Shake hands with all your neighbours and kiss the colleens all. You're as welcome as a flower in May to dear old Donegal.
Words and music written in 1942 by Steve Graham, who's actually Michael H. Goldson, and that was a recording of it by Joseph Locke from 1948. Nios as an alla nach instau na de junno as nimme. Trereni duste de handmachs sa faster, va chid leiltis Lucy de lachtes an achrischek, as mar in de stau chiarni mach a peber, va van Helsing a chordus de lai. Van allu kerelach corre rash sa vol henke vai, na bergi burrich lodgi dusta. Esh henke soel van Helsing, as pinies, as vi gint na smanra. Esh ichi me girt de chamber, as tre honnicky red vi a crow. Huggy mach aim erd, as huggy a lauen bach de shang, roshen edin yelek. Wrenchen de nis tiggle de bunjay, draui higgel de sledden, bes a mere. Me saw hugshin ber na adach shin de gurgegi. Ginaurish ren erish koresh orions pert, ach vi vier angel de smunnion, sa smunnion as san anamek, as renny ko de tostach as de fes, rish tamut liaur. Dinshin G de jinnach and dera J, dera yen and J Eliagin, nan an yistin, Tanacht and Mary, nish ulyu and tray. Now, this is the opening of the poem by Esther Nelson, The Island Penitent. Far mid the rocks of man's wild shore, an aged sinner dwelt. But earthly tongue might never speak the pangs that sinner felt. Far in a cavern by the shore of dark Castruan flood, a fearful voice wailed evermore, old sinner, blood for blood. Now Castruan is the foot of the stream, perhaps emptying into the sea to create dark Castruan's flood. Anyway, back to Esther Nelson. Yet many a day had that old man mourned through a weary pilgrimage, but can hard fare or penance drear guilt's burning pangs assuage? The tears of heartfelt penitence are registered in heaven, but that grey man ne'er shed a tear, that old man was unshriven. Oh, he bare a deadly sin, I ween. The voice wailed, blood for blood, and the Islesmen said, misdeeds had been by dark Castruan's flood, and that old man's harp was the white, white bone, its strings were soft golden hair, and the sinner in his sleep would moan, dead, dead, although so fair. Stasiwn yn asiwn sien radio fannin yn sio tasiw geisdiach rys Claare na Gael. She Robert Cutting Carswell mish Robert a Carslach.
Have you heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
As the jaro to Claare na Gael fair J. Heeden, the podcast into the redden was radio vanning with this Eugene in a degem radio vanning for the shoe getting and trailers via Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audibles, Spotify, Google Podcast, TuneIn, na Alexa. Now let's go back to the poem by Esther Nelson. And the simple Isle men, many a day, held marvel of the same, and many a mother blessed herself, for thoughts she might not name, and many a maiden's cheek was pale to cross the gloomy strath. Alas, there was a weary curse upon the old man's path. There is a headland, bare and bold, by Mona's lovely isle, and there the wanderer may behold a solitary pile. The hoary sinner reared that pile, that time-worn cruciform, and there fully many a day mourned he above the mist and storm. There is a cave within the rock, as dark as evil thought. When winds howled loud and waves dashed light, its gloom the sinner sought, where not a ray of heaven's light could that wild temple pierce. Oh, he would mock the mad tempest with laughter loud and fierce. Oh, what is elemental wrath to the deep mental strife? Alas, the sinner's bitter laugh with agony was rife. It mocked, yea, mocked the elements. It mocked his own sad soul. Woe and alas for evil hearts, and minds that spurn control. Te gyn the rensin gyrgych Chawds fe chit gys a chyrliartus henk sabinori. On sio hach a rid fi chwech. Chawds fe fos na cadla, gawi a peber vai nochrishek, as renni repons der fische. Gaw van Helsing kesmaji as gawi na pishen voi. Ach, na jai shen na zulju, renni frail rish en ginu jay repa, maar de berges toe fors ons alauen. Vejera, groggy soes alauen as dosheliad, maar de bergie skelje magiet de fuljach. Vejien de rauw van Helsing goljindes, as henk na moljen egge kujach, maar de bergie smunjen. A gedoort he weg. Een naiola jeg mijn fouwer, voet na hi raar ween de kadle de korach, as ish de kinjach goil al roos kadle, as ve beggen as faster en I doest de wai. Rauw en allu is mis shailen de freilara, as gerensjen rieuw vergeli rish tullach gin ten jail. Het doort Quincey Morris weg mechion nubba fo. Now we're just a week away from Ounder and Kjol Tia Vanning feed Heedus 3 as feed the Manx Folk Awards 2023, which start next Sunday, the 26th of March, and run through to the 30th. Here are the young singers of the BUNSCOILL GHAELGAGH with one of their performances from last year, a longer song and a shorter one to follow.
Long honnick me as we show.
Long, Honnick Me and Snew Wheel Snew, arranged by Kirree-AALIN CLAGUE, who also conducted that performance by the BUNSCOILL GHAELGAGH at Cheerful Vanning, the Manx Folk Awards last year, and this year's get underway next Sunday, the 26th of March. For Fissem fudna he, the ren Quincey shul de Haradach Magieters Magiert de Tai. Tra Henk en Lai, ren on solace ronsi egge, seilje gemaakt na treffersen ons njart Lucy Bach. Scorn oddach I chindea kion, as wij gin a rauwe bitbeg de wie oddach I Gael, ginu fos gi. Na keerten we na kadle. As hug van Helsing as misnies, Gael den anchasles ongi, edder we na kadle as we na douche. Gouds we na kadle, we gin na straja. Na jai de rawi smoosh erkich, as we tarn endel na skuna. Van biel faaslitek, seilje gemaakt na drunten niel tarnit weine fieglen, as wotsen ma saw gin de jaru na slura, as na spiri na wat de kajen. Trereni duste, we gin de ren meigid de suljen kachlea komek, nod rawi gin de we een eer komek, ach ver wons red a wesh. Se faste brai son Arthur, as hugshin chelgram a han. Hai Quincey rosh de bijele eg a station. And on with Esther Nelson's poem. And years went by, and from his cave the sinner passed away. None knew the wherefore, when, or how, none know it to this day. Where'er he went, whate'er his fate, all dark Castruan's flood could never from his conscience cleanse the memory of blood. Go, view those monuments of old, they tell a fearful tale of deeds that blanch the cheek and make the stoutest heart to quail. Alas, there was doom for the sinner grey that passeth not with time. Oh, may well the Isle men shuddering pray, Lord, save us from all crime. And that's the poem by Esther Nelson, The Island Penitent, a Legend of the Calf. And so back to David Robertson. The day, being delightfully serene, was highly favourable to our excursion, but the shades of evening now warned us to retire. When, after a long and lingering look on this very romantic solitude, we descended to our boat, and, enjoying another charming sail, arrived at Castletown, highly pleased with the amusement of the day. Now first here we hear the Welsh triple harp of Robin Hugh Bowen, and he accompanies Susan George in a song in which she gives a warning to the lover, Rhybydd i'r carwr.
Gonest ar y gan, ond bydd y difar I mi. Y babi sydd yn flin, a'i dad sydd wrth I hun, ac felly nid oes lun I chi gael llun. Ac felly nid oes lun I chi gael llun. Y llongaidd o'r porthlad heb gapten ar y bwrdd, am hyn mae'n y dif ar gen I. Y gwynt o'r gorwel chwith a'r y fran sydd ar y nyth, ac felly nid oes lun I chi gael llun. Ac felly nid oes lun I chi gael llun.
Rhybydd i'r carwr, a warning to the lover. Traditional Welsh song sung by Susan George with Robin Hugh Bowen on the triple harp. And so now to chapter 9 of Robertson's book, and as usual we're given an outline of what we'll find in this chapter. Castletown, the castle, its ancient dignity and importance, misfortunes of the Countess of Derby, Governor of the island, administration of justice, etc. Castletown, writes Robertson, though dignified with the residence of the governor of the isle, is, in wealth and mercantile importance, greatly inferior to Douglas. It is, however, an airy and pleasant town, and, though considerably smaller, surpasses the other in neatness, the houses being more uniformly elegant and the streets more spacious and regular. Well, as David Robertson was revisiting the island and made this tour through it in 1791, although his book wasn't published until 1794, it's convenient for us that there's a figure given for 1792 showing the population of Castletown standing at 1,423 inhabitants compared with the 3,625 people living in Douglas. Trerenc Arthur ve bunnes share a chlag, as van green golde lai, as ish sledden as jay, as ren and solace djur deertes jack on through the nunjig, as hook I tull you dead en a liegen en niel. Tre honnick wa Arthur de vier ploegit lech enjachten, as ze dat ver bijin lord. Ons neuren van ons sja, van a temende gadle, dan steed geen enne van zinnetje sjen, jit de wijn smenke, de raune burnigen aandouw van kalortes rienu, gint na skera. Ach, wij geen de rauw eschen, wij aan, greinige I. Rennie bischige beggen, as lori rish na sprioilen of a gintek near as renschen raschen. Hug eschen smaakt ersen hienjes, as lori hug ginnel as oddege, de rauwe rid share gint jay de chuljen je. Jorish nish ve bunnes nain a chlag, as fashion as van Helsing in St. Mary. Te orum golsen in a dock, keru was nish, as to me record as a show ons phonograph Lucy. we heard a track from the new album by Scottish band Rura last time, and this is another track from their Dust Moon album, released last Friday. This is called Think of Today. Seo diw stasiwn yn asiwn radio fanning, as si Claare na Gael and Claare Shaw, Robert Gytyn Carl Shent and Enna Morm, Robert a Carslach Mata.
Did the ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Der a share a chlag te orwcor eber goel fe. Ta alem de gin lein a verach jera ernenara, ernode vel le grein ve ro voer, genod a nien bach bishiche. Drau G. Cúnalíon olju. Scríwan Mina Harker gus Lucy Westenra, na rau na Oslo jori, and seachtú le jeg main fawr. Ma Lucy smoothín, te gennacht an mar eish near as remmi clashen vod, no de jarrow near as remmi skriwruts. Niu laid out am fissem olju na foiljen em, tretawal jai a skriwen em den aichten. Well, ren mi cor leis ma wunya shesha tai mai de lure. Tre renchen rosh in Exeter, va carriage furchten orren, as onsen, gather out tame de goutjen aware, va Mansje Hawkins. Renny cor leishin gus a tai egge, ball va shamer an erren son, as ulju jesha sour, as gaushin jenair kujach. Look jenair doet Mansje Hawkins. Ma gurgen veen, Tommy Geary Ginu Uland den Clentus den Sonus jou. Well, Robertson continues with his description of Castletown and says that the town is divided by a small creek, which opens into a rocky and dangerous bay. The difficulty of entering its harbour certainly in some degree injures its commerce. A considerable quantity of grain is, however, annually exported, and a variety of merchandise as well. But the articles of rum, wine, sugar, tobacco, etc., according to the regulations of the customs being admissible only in the port of Douglas, are from thence conveyed to the other towns of the island. In the centre of the town, Castle Rushen rears its gloomy and majestic brow, and for several miles overlooks the subject country. This solid and magnificent pile was raised in the year 960 by Guthred, a prince of the Danish line, who lies obscurely buried in the edifice he'd founded, leaving it as the most durable monument of his regal dignity. It's built on a rock, and before the introduction of artillery was deemed impregnable. Now, earlier on we did hear a brief snatch of the Polka Aberfal, which is the Falmouth polka, a bit of music from Cornwall. We're going to hear another piece, another track now, in fact, from Gweno's album in Cornish, the Cornish language, her album Tresor, and this is the track called Anima.
I
A song in Cornish from Gwenno Saunders' Tresor album, that was Anima. The figure of the castle, says Robertson, is irregular, and by some travellers is said to resemble that of Elsinore. A stone glacis, supposed to have been built by Cardinal Wolsey, surrounds it. For several ages it has braved the injuries of time, and still retains, with its towers and battlements, the gloomy and formidable grandeur of Gothic architecture. Before the subjugation of man by the English, the kings of the island resided here in all the warlike pomp of those barbarous ages, supporting their splendour and dignity by oppressing or destroying mankind. In the annals of modern history, the Isle of Man is distinguished by Hume as the last place in Europe, tributary to the English, which yielded to the arms of the Republic. Well, in fact, that's not actually correct, because Galway finally submitted to the Cromwellian Commonwealth in 1652. It shows, though, people talk about the English Civil War, but of course Scotland, Wales, Cornwall, the Isle of Man and Ireland, they were all involved. The Jindach Banach Gol Meriw, as Maisha Hawkins. Va enne Meriw near as fashion in Berchen, as Tammy lesh grai as morn and nagen shoe guess. Nish Tammy giri shoeish de yinu shaw nin die, as de chummel and shaw merem. Genel pishin de peje marnem, ta dulju sool, as se chimna Tammy and Gael Jewish de chuljurid. Ren mish Kenya Lucy Veen, cows ren Jonathan as and Shan Dunya called Graham loud a chelia. She fast the beg 4 ear van rein. Ma saw Shaw Shin, Courage Jacks a Chantai Ellen Shaw, as by Machemer Liabach, come as by Machemer High, for them fagen the Ljowen and Moora, ons close of Voir Aglish, as na bangen and Moora do okra agen de clear, na Shan Clach Bui Voir Aglish. As for them clashen the trochen and erin skin, kechers, cabarachers, tutlerach, fyen lay, rare kliachten a trochenen. As na Danian is. Tammy terug, scorn this fifth sem inch Dutch, ons rege ridden as ons first tie. Well, now, another reminder that a week today, Sunday the 26th of March, Ounder and Kjol Tia Vanning, the Manx Folk Awards gets underway. And back in 2020, they, of course, couldn't be held, but Katie Lawrence had a wonderful online project, of which this is the result.
Busy cares have flown. I see
The Ellen Vannin Children's Choir, an online initiative brought together by Katie Lawrence, and with the technical expertise of Dave Rolls and Glenn Worrell. And that came about because it wasn't possible to hold the Manx Folk Awards at that time. To Jonathan as Maisha Hawkins Taruch Fayan Lai. Son, Nish, de vel Jonathan na Fartius, to Maisha Hawkins Giri Inch de Ulju Machon the Clienton. Now, the next section of this description and history of Castletown takes us on to, as David Robertson has told us in his chapter heading, Misfortunes of the Countess of Derby. So rather than jump in now, we'll hold back till next time because there's bits of history we'll have to consider in association with that. As saw Shene Dera and Nachhirt. Now, Chris Pearson is hovering in the wings, so join him for 2 hours of the best chill-out music for your Sunday evening between 7 and 9. At 9 o'clock, Judith Delay will be here to present Sundown, so you can settle back in the late-night listening lounge. Now, St Patrick was snatched to be taken as a slave to the north of Ireland from a Brythonic area, usually said to be the south of Wales. However, before the 5th century, the Isle of Man was Brythonic, and there was a suggestion that St Patrick could have been snatched from here. And so we hedge our bets with Jamie Smith's Mabon, founded in South Wales but with significant Manx associations. And don't forget Ounder and Kjol Tia Vanning, the Manx Folk Awards, starting next Sunday the 26th of March. And I'll remind you next time that they'll be running on until the 30th of March. Ach, nish, signed on Ginu, signed out Corcion, and Claare Shorish. And so until the next time then, this is Robert Katin Carswell, Robert Carslach.
Oh, Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night, as Iva Machri Eriu, as Ortselier, as Magyrian Shed you will you.